Crowd for a Wesley Hunt event. So we'll start to talk to some people relatively soon. Hunt himself should be here in about 15 minutes. And this will be the second Wesley Hunt event that I'm going to. I went to one near Houston. So we'll go and talk to some people and ask them why they're here. See if anybody wants to talk. See what's up. How you doing?
Good, fine.
Good, good. No pressure. I got a little YouTube. I'm a fan of Wesley's and just interviewing people as to why they might like him or why you're here. If you'd be interested, but no pressure.
I'd like to hear you first, but I can tell you.
Okay, keep an open mind.
I'll tell you this much. I really don't. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like the other candidates. I think it's time for Tom to get out of it. And I really think Wesley's the man to do it. And I know this may sound bad, but people of color look at things a little bit differently a lot of times. Not as a bad thing, but they have a different life experience. And I'm really interested in him, and I think he'll be a good man.
Interesting. Yeah, well played. So you think him being of color, he's able to
Well,
connect?
no, that's not why I'm voting for him.
Okay, right.
I could care less, but I think he does bring a different perspective from his background. And I don't know what his background was, but I just know in my dealings with people of color, they see things different than we do.
Yeah, it's nice to have that.
But he's conservative, and he's not ultra conservative. I like that.
Do you think he'd be the strongest general election candidate? Has the conservatism, get out the base, unlike Cornyn, but unlike Paxton, doesn't have the negatives?
To me, no doubt. I think he's strong. We've got a good friend that served with him, I think, in the military too, and knows him well, so that helped.
Oh, cool. Thank your friend for your service. For
it wasn't me, it was
well, for his service, yeah. And what's the most important issue to you in this election? Or even 3 or 4?
Well, just saying, I'm thinking economy, border, and the thing I have is I'm in construction, so I know that I'm dealing with a lot of illegal. But I've got guys working for me 30 years that are illegal. Those guys have contributed to society. I don't have a problem with them. I have a problem with the ones that came across the border the last 4 or 5 years. What I've told my wife is we're not concerned about the guys that are being productive in one of our yards. We're concerned about the guys who are here to and mooch off our system, mooch off our immigration. The waste, fraud, and abuse. I've been saying for years that somebody would go, that was why I was disappointed with Trump the first time, because they really didn't go through it. Man, this Doge thing, the stuff they're uncovering is what I've been saying for years is out there. I think they need to revamp you okay?
Yeah.
I think they need to revamp the wet cards. And it's not again, I feel like helping people who need help, but there's so much abuse there right now. I hear stories about guys that get that card. And so the government says, okay, you get $700 a month. On the first of the month, every month they get $700. Right for 4 months, they got $2,800. Sell it for $1,000 and go buy drugs. I don't know why the government can't figure out a way with computers that on April 1st you will have $1,000 in your account, period. If you had 50 left over, you're going to get 950. If you had 650 left over, you're going to get 350. And hold them to 1,000 instead of letting it build up. If you use it all, bless your heart, you're good. If you're just trying to mooch the system,
right,
you're going to get screwed.
Well, and right, that becomes an issue too because the amount of remittances going to other countries has increased.
Right. And that's the other thing. But like I said, I work with guys who've been here 30 years, but they're not legal.
Okay,
but they're
right there in the border.
They're contributing to society. Their kids are going to school here, and they're paying their taxes. I don't have a problem with those people staying. If there was some kind of way to get them an amnesty or whatever, I don't have a problem with it. But I do have a problem with the ones that are coming over here and just automatically start drawing on our
Very well
graces.
put. Yeah, it's a balance, right? Because there's some people that contribute positively, some people less so.
But like I said, I've got really good friends who've been here for 30 years, but I don't have a problem with them. It's the ones that came over the last 4 or 5 years that stuck across the border and then are drawing our...
Do you think Trump's been a little extreme in some of the enforcement?
And yes, he is. But the thing is, I was working with a guy that it was one of those who'd been here a while, had a wreck, And guess what? When they ran his driver's license, he got shipped out. But I don't, that happens. That's a risk they take.
Right.
And what I don't understand is why all of a sudden it's such a big deal when Trump's doing it compared to when they did it in the past. Are they only wearing masks now than they did then?
Good point.
Somebody's stirring this crap up.
I mean, the numbers are similar, right? The deportation.
No, his numbers are less.
Right.
And it's the same guy doing it that got awards under Obama for his service. And now all of a sudden he can stand.
Right. I mean, there's a difference of, is there an issue of style versus the raw numbers? And it seems to be actually pretty practical. Right. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, they called Obama the deporter-in-chief. That was his expression.
It's just like when Trump, his first term, they accused him of holding kids and killing himself. The pictures they were shooting from the Obama administration. It's all about perception.
Right.
And our media does not
well, they have an agenda, right?
They have an agenda, but they don't portray anything positive about the administration. Nothing. He could solve world peace, solve world hunger, solve all the wars in the country, have everybody bow down to God, and he'd still lose. They'd still run him down.
You think Wesley would be the strongest Trump ally in terms of being in the press, being the most effective communicator?
I think so. And the thing, and I never like that. I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm kind of following him. But we've got one of the problems we're having right now is there's no communication from one side to the other. And I think Wesley will probably, and I don't ask you to bow down to him, but you can't solve anything without talking about it.
Yeah, well put. Well, you're an advocate. I admire you because you think very independently, and look at things as a whole. So as a more practical voter, are you a little nervous about who the Democrats nominate? Would you be more nervous about Tallarico versus Crockett, or do you think it makes you go different? Interesting. So you're nervous about Tallarico.
Oh, yeah. And the problem is, Tallarico kind of catches my attention. Crockett definitely not. But Tallarico, but what worries me is you put a Democrat in there and they're going to follow a hard line. If no matter what you want to do, we're not going to approve it. And I don't think that's the right attitude. I mean, look at last night. I did not watch the State of the Union address. I was following, but what I'm hearing is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, Al Green wearing that T-shirt, or having that big sign saying black people aren't idiots. It was a lot of theater. There's a lot of theater on the other side. Yeah, it's a good point.
It just, it don't make, like I said, Trump could solve world peace, world hunger, and everything else, and they'd still fuck him. And they have said, we cannot let him win. Period. And so, like I said, Tallarico kind of catches my attention, but I'm just afraid he gets over there, he'll fall in line with them, and he's not going to do anything. The one that's really getting my attention is Fetterman.
Yeah.
He's kind of standing up for him, and I think that's a good thing.
I admire him. Talking about independent politics, he's very independent.
My dad always used to say, if you let the Republicans run the country, they'll strangle it. If you let the Democrats run the country, they'll give it away. You have to have a balance.
Would you ever see Fetterman running for president? Can you see that? 2028.
I don't know. What's worrying me is the way they're propping up Tallarico getting all that airtime and Colbert. I'm afraid they're going to start pushing him to do it. Well, Tallarico may be too young.
Yeah, well, it's not a wild thought though. And he's an interesting candidate, and that's why I think Hunt's probably the best nominee, because in comparison to Paxton, the outward image that he projects, and I think it's legitimate, for being moral and pretty straight-laced, and obviously Paxton has some personal affairs and using government money for that. There have been a lot of issues, so Hunt would have a similar moral lifestyle, and I do wonder if Paxton is there's just too much of a contrast between the two. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. If it's a runoff, Paxton versus Cornyn, would you go for Cornyn or Paxton? Okay, I think he'd be a stronger general elections candidate too. But why not Paxton? Just kind of feel like he has some issues.
Well, he said where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well put. There's been a lot of smoke. How are you?
Good.
Sorry to keep him. You just made my whole YouTube though. You're awesome. I appreciate it. Don't let me keep you guys. Good meeting you though. I'm done. Pleasure. I appreciate it. All right, already having some cool conversations. Where are we? We are. How do you say it, guys? I don't even know how to say it. We travel the whole state, but Midlothian, something like that. That's where we are. Thank you guys for watching. We're at Wesley Hunt's event. He should be here relatively soon, so we'll get to see him speak. Lance, you're funny. I wish I were that talented. Shixie's there too. Nice. What's up, Bob? Nice to have you. Dodge, how do you feel about Mondami now? I was never that big of a supporter of Mondami's. I like Curtis a lot. I think he's been incompetent with the snow shovels. I think, the ultimate getting a multitude of IDs to shovel snow or to get an opportunity to do so is government mismanagement at its finest. That being said, it's only been a few months. It's hard to really judge how he's going to be. I think he'll just end up a lot like Bill de Blasio, quite frankly. But we will see. I'll talk to some other people. ID to shovel snow, but not to right. The discrepancy is a little interesting. I'll try to talk to some other people, see what's going on. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you. No pressure. I got a little YouTube. Wonder if I might want to ask you why you're here.
Sure.
Awesome, you're the best. Thank you. And are you a supporter of Hunt or keeping an open mind?
I do like Hunt, but I am kind of curious and wanted to hear what his thoughts are on like the Doge and future Doge cuts and how we can codify some of that stuff. I think that we do have a big part of our fiscal house as a federal government, and I'm 43. I know that we got like Social Security and Medicare and stuff about to go bankrupt in the next 10 years or so, and nobody's really talking about it, and I need to hear some of that kind of stuff. So.
I admire that you're thinking about that. Yeah, you're thinking about all the spending, still advocating to winnow down government mismanagement. Are you involved in any of that, or you're just kind of concerned about the debt?
I'm just kind of
Good
on
for
the
you.
sidelines. I mean,
Respect.
Yeah, I got a lot of responsibilities and stuff like that going on at the house. And, it's not that I don't care, but got a lot of priorities. So I just kind of get involved where I can, and just kind of hear, from with the candidates and with the people in power who I feel can probably best represent that view.
Yeah, and I guess has Hunt talked about it that much? I guess he's talked about the debt a little bit. Yeah, so he's been a little more active than the other two.
Yeah.
And is that what you say you're leaning towards him, but still looking at the candidates? Is that why you're leaning towards him, or are you just not a huge Paxton fan or Cornyn fan?
It's not that I'm not a huge Paxton fan. I just think he has a lot of baggage going into the general, and I think that. I do know that the other two candidates in the Democratic side are not aligned with these views, so I want to make sure that we have a candidate that can win and that, can actually bring those views and, bring that agenda to the table rather than two for the next 6 years that have no plans to do that whatsoever.
Very well put. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think Cornyn could get out the MAGA base. And I think Paxton, especially by lifestyle contrast, if it's him and Tellerico would win. You need somebody kind of more moral, as Hunt certainly is. And that's another thing too. Are you nervous? Does it make a difference to you in terms of wanting to protect the country if Tellerico or Crockett wins? Do you think one would be harder? Would you be a little more nervous about Tellerico versus
Probably
Crockett?
a little bit more nervous about Tellerico. I think that he is able to project a message of moderation. I think that there is probably an appetite for some of that a little bit in the country right now. But I don't think that's necessarily what we need. I think we need to kind of double down on some of the policies that we have been going. I knew that when we, put Trump in office and stuff like that there was going to be some pain, but we need the pain because we got to do a major correction with the finances and stuff.
I admire that, right? Is stay focused on the economical long term. And people don't really think 5-10 years ahead, and that's probably why the debt is ballooned and taxes are insane. It's a good point. That's a very good point. And have you already voted yet, or are you planning on voting? Don't let me keep you. Somebody's calling you.
I have not voted yet.
Okay.
Usually my wife and I do that on Saturday.
Cool.
Friday night. I think that's the last day of early voting. We like to early vote together.
Nice.
I work nights, so I'm just getting up early and just kind of had the opportunity to come here, Mr. Hunt today. And I think he's got a great compelling story. I think he's brilliant when it comes to being able to communicate, how he feels and everything like that. So I'm just looking forward to what he has to say.
Well, that's the thing too, right? He's young, dynamic, a much superior communicator, a lot more inspirational than the other two, I think. And the other thing I've been noticing is the differences of campaigns. Does him being here make a little bit of a difference in your vote, that he actually showed up? Paxton and Cornyn did 5 days of campaigning. Hunt has done about 2 months.
Well, yeah, it's funny because, I actually messaged the Hunt campaign on Facebook, and I just said, hey, I wish them luck, and I like a lot of messages, and I said if they came to Ellis County, I'd be interested in coming here. And
funny.
3 days later, here he is. So it's just like, it's great, so got to follow through on that commitment as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm a fan of his, too, because, I feel like you have to earn a vote. And you have to be accessible where people can watch you speak, they can ask you questions. If you're too scared to do that, I don't think you'd be, great in that position. So, it's funny, it's only really hit, because I've been to all of the candidate events, but it's hard to catch anybody but Hunt and Tellerico, who actually have a lot of stuff. Although I must say Crockett is probably my favorite because the people are so kind of crazy. They give me a lot of really fun clips.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of entertainment value.
Yes.
Craziness is concerned.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
It'd be interesting. I think that to a certain degree that I would love to see a debate between Crockett and Hunt because I think he would tear her apart.
Oh yeah.
Intellectually. So it's just I'm chef's kiss on that one. So,
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Tellerico loses. Then on the ground campaigning won't matter. All Crockett did was 4 days. She had enough screaming on social media where the base came out. Then the whole election's lost to the Democrats. So much better if you're on this team. But if Tellerico wins, then it's like the on the ground stuff still matters. So it'll be interesting. She feels like she's so famous that's all that matters. But he's becoming a little well known too. So yeah. But no, some people have expressed concern that is he a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing? His style is so palpable. But then he actually go to his events and he says he wants to abolish ICE and impeach Kristi Noem.
When you actually start digging into his particular policies, he's not that much different. But when I watched some of their debate, it was about I agree. We just made a little bit different on style. And I'm like, well, let's get into the meat of it. And the fact is that you're basically the same thing, right?
I guess the last question is: any other races you like? Anybody for AG, for governor?
I haven't really looked so much at the
you got time.
side.
Me neither. I haven't. And it's an interesting race because there's like 5 serious candidates. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot of serious ones out there, and be curious to know. I think that there's here in Ellis County we got a lot of local races that are pretty hot right now. I know that for our state rep right now we have a pretty hot one with Brian Harrison and a couple others.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, open C or incumbent?
No, Harrison's the incumbent.
Okay.
He's pretty. He's a pretty good firebrand out of Midlothian here, but there's some people who are running against him that are, I would probably describe him as a little more liberal, and so
interesting, huh?
Yeah, but Harrison tends to be stand alone in Austin against
Okay.
even some
Gotta
of the
admire that.
Republicans. And
Right.
so he gets in a little bit of trouble every now and then, you know, with some of that. But there's a push to get him out. And
Yeah.
by some rhinos, and, you know, hoping that doesn't happen.
Well, I wonder, is there spillover from some of the, hard left bent of Dallas, where that, it's the Romney Country Club,
Yeah.
and he can't go quite Democrat, so he can be like the Romney Country Club.
Yeah.
Interesting, 'cause that's happened a little bit here.
Be interesting, but
Yeah.
so that race is going on. So there's a lot of focus
Cool.
with that.
Okay.
And then, I just think it's important just to pay attention to who you're putting in power.
Yeah.
And they're making the rules for us all. So it's kind of like at least go out, get a say, and put the best one in that you think is going to best represent your views.
Yeah, that's always a process.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing knocking doors or be involved anyway, or just kind of supporting your candidate? Well, this is being involved too.
Yeah, coming out. I mean,
Cool.
it's, like I said, with knocking doors and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll, if I have friends that I feel are in person, in a place that they'd
Yeah,
be
the
happy
time.
to listen. I'll be
Cool.
happy to do
Respect.
that. But walking doors and knocking doors and all that kind of stuff, real difficult when you work in the middle of the night sometimes.
You got a wild schedule.
Nobody wants to see me at 1
2 in the
a.m.
morning. Yeah.
What are you doing, creeper? Don't think I'll help anybody.
I'd probably scare away some votes, incredibly. Good point. Well, respect, but you're going to these things. I'm glad you're probably one of the few people that's paying attention to the local races in that regard. And knows the candidates running in the primary. So that's the most important thing, and posting on social media. Very cool. Very good to meet you. I'm Josh, by the way.
I'm Mike. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure, Mike. You gave me a lot of good meat. Thank you. You're the best. Pleasure. Part of it. All right, guys, should be on here. Democrat Party is dying on the vine. We'll see. Jasmine has charisma. You're right about that, Margarita. Jasmine certainly has charisma. Hopefully he'll be here relatively soon. I'm going to get a seat. Speak. Look at some of any comments that I might have missed. Hopefully he'll be here soon, guys. Sorry about the glare on the. Hopefully the sun has created some serious glare, but that's all right. Yes, this is probably your second to last event. We'll probably have James Tellerico a little later on, either today or tomorrow. I'm going to try to figure out the schedule. But a lot of polls had Hunt about 10 to 15 points down. Two recent polls had him within striking distance of getting into the runoff, only about 3 points behind Paxton. So it's kind of anybody's race. Margartista. How come Jasmine was the only one who was cool and welcoming to people with cameras? I mean, the Hunt campaign has always been nice with me having cameras. I mean, it is interesting. Crockett has not been that available to people, for anybody to really ask her, maybe some of the cameras, but for anybody to really ask her questions. She had like a community conversation. She answered questions, but the questions were pre-planned and all given to her via note card, and she only answered 3 questions, and she didn't do a press thing. Tellerico always does press junkets, and he's just had a lot more events and town halls, and so, I mean, Crockett hasn't had a single town hall. She's had rallies, but Tellerico has had a lot more. But I mean, maybe Crockett doesn't have to do it because she has this strong, enthusiastic base of support. People know her. People, some people who know her like her. Some people who know her don't like her. Hopefully, I don't know how late Hunt's going to get. Hopefully, he'll be here relatively soon. But hey, Genzalia, nice to have you. What's going on? Do they mind if you point? They don't mind. No. I'm not at a Tellerico event, but and they didn't mind. They were a little skittish about. Actually, they were a little skittish about me joining the press junket. So that was a little bit surprising. Usually you could just show up, and they were a little weird about that. So good point. Jen and Leon, great to see you, Doc. Great to see you. Hopefully Hunt should be here. I figured, Jen, I was thinking about you. I figured you'd like the candidate that I'm focusing on today. A few more questions. See what's happening. Hopefully Hunt should be here in the next couple minutes. I guess if not, we'll ask about stuff. How you guys doing? Good. Good, thank you. No pressure. I got a little YouTube, just interviewing people as to why they might be here, what you might like about Wesley, or what issue might be most important to them, but no pressure. I hear you. I was going to say there's a candidate, though, I could promote for judge. Guys, you want to check out Travis Smith? I assume you're a good conservative, and well, there you go. So at least they get some information, if nothing else. Wish you luck. So you're involved in the primary as well, then. Wish you luck in the campaign. Sure. Got by your tongue.
Still having the possibilities.
Okay, right. I'm from New York. I'm from all the way up north. I wonder if it's similar here. Do you have to get out of a panel, get recommended for judge, like by a specific panel?
So county judge isn't in our side of Suffolk County isn't a judicial seat.
Interesting. Okay.
Or the county mayor, county CEO,
Okay.
because it could still-
Countywide.
It could still have judicial responsibilities and follows the same rules. Some judges can't.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, you have to walk a tightrope running for that. And you have to really be, because right, you say one thing audibly, they'll say, oh, it's a bias, right. It's a whole, even raising money is a juggle, and advertising is a weird thing. Well, wish you luck. If you win, that means you really knew how to navigate all this craziness. That's a talent unto itself. No worries. What shoes you're wearing? So guys, if you want to give me a super chat, I'm close to broke. This is how poor I am. Because you asked me what shoes I'm wearing. Did you see this? There's a moment with Adlai Stevenson when he ran in 1956. It was, don't let this happen to you. Oh, there's the next senator. The most successful senator. Good, how are you?
Hey man, it's good to see you.
Good to see you
Thank
again.
for being here.
Of course. And there he is. Cool. Oh, Jen, hey, you want to get lunch? I'll probably be here for another 2 hours. Dodge.landismith@gmail.com. Of course. So those are the shoes I'm wearing, boring, black. And did I really go to Birchwatham? Yeah, how do you know that? Gonna grab a quick smoke before Wesley speaks. Yeah, I went to Birchwatham Lennox. Barbara Walters also went there, I believe. I think Wesley Stahl. I got bullied a lot. Kids are assholes. I only went there 1 year, and then I missed that. How do you know? Did I ever mention that? Are you from there? Jen, how do I say Midlothian? Is it Midlothian? Midlothian? But yeah, I'm from Russian research. Very impressive research. Let's grab a quick smoke, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. A few state of plays in the race. We'll talk about that. Wesley Hunt is a little bit under attack by both Cornyn and Paxton. They're trying to say that he's missed a myriad of votes. He had a very good response to that, saying his son was in the ICU for a multitude of weeks and he wanted to be there for his son, which is a pretty good defense. He's a good dad. Especially a good defense when you're comparing yourself to Ken Paxton, who is very questionable morally when it comes to his family values. Thank you, gentlemen. Midlothian. Not Midlothian. Midlothian. So Hunt is facing at least 2 super PACs that are spending against him. A few recent polls have had things much tighter than they were. Before he was in a distant third, and now he's only about 3 or 4 points behind Cornyn. So they're getting nervous about him, and he's probably the strongest general election candidate, right? Because he gets a MAGA base, but he doesn't have the moral failings. Thank you, Jen. Doesn't have the moral failings as Paxton. So. All right, guys, we'll get back in there. Know a lot of his Birchwatham friends. This, of course, the Epstein man. What? Really? The BWL, the Epstein master? That's new. How much do you need to get your 100 from YouTube? I still haven't gotten it. I'm $25 away. So if you want to give me a super chat so I can because I literally have 2 days or I miss the cutoff line to withdraw any money for next month. It's literally until the first of the month. And then if it's after the first of the month, then I have to wait till April. So if somebody wants to give me $25 because I knew I'd make no money coming here. I knew that. I only donate when I do Scientology stuff. But if any of you think, if any of you want to help me just at least get $100 for this month, that would be super nice. Yes, $25. Okay. That's how close I am to 100. You need to get $100 to meet the threshold to make money for that month. And usually when I do Scientology stuff, I meet it fairly easily, but obviously I didn't expect to meet it here. I think the audio is setting. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Put a 1 if you can hear me. Put a 1 if you can hear me. Put a 1 if you can hear me. Put a 2 if you cannot hear me. All right, I think you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Put a 2 now. Put a 2 if you can hear me. All right, good. We got 1s. We got a lot of 1s. Can you put a 2 if you can hear me? Good. All right. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, guys. I hear background better. Yeah, there's a little bit of background noise, which is probably going to stop once he goes and speaks, which should be now. Pretty cool.
You will be too. You're better. So actually, for my first internship in politics was for my country. Oh, really? And I'll never forget it. I was like, this is hard work. Yeah. It's a big job, but you have no idea. Were they over roads back then, or was it so they weren't consulting tolls. They always do. Big. Thank you. How are you? Good. How are you?
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm a candidate for the next county chair of the Republican Party, but it's been a great pleasure to bring Wesley Hunt here, mainly because I spent 42 years wearing this uniform, and bringing a fellow soldier out like this is outstanding. So, Wesley, I'm going to read this, I don't miss anything. He attended the U.S. Naval, the U.S. Whoa! Start over. West Point in 2004, right? I'm not going to look at this. He goes on to be an Apache pilot. He flies 55 combat missions. He was a diplomat liaison, I believe, in Saudi Arabia as well. Correct. Is that right? And he goes on to serve in Congress. He's our congressman from the southern part of the state, right? And now he is a candidate for the United States Senate. So, everybody, let's thank you all. Thank you very much.
First of all, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus for this day. For without him, none of this is possible. Lead every single speech with that, because I've realized win, lose, or draw, we always win when he is our Lord. Isn't that right?
That's right. Amen.
Thank you all so much for being here. The most valuable asset that we have is our time. It's a beautiful day out. The fact that you are here says a lot about how you feel about this country, about how you feel about the future of this country, about how you feel about the future leadership of this country. The reason why our time is so valuable is because we're not here forever. And it's not about how much money you have, it's not about gold, cars, any of that, it's about your time. So spending your most valuable asset here speaks volumes to me, and I'm honored that you're here. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. A little bit more about me. I come from a military family. So my dad's a retired lieutenant colonel in the military. He served 22 years, some reserve, some active. My sister went to West Point, my family first. West Point class of 1993. She served 23 years active duty as a military intelligence officer. I would not be outdone by my sister. So I went to West Point, my family second. I'm hands down the coolest. As an Apache helicopter pilot for 55 combat missions in Baghdad, 2 tours of duty in Saudi Arabia as a diplomatic liaison officer. I've lived in countries that fell under Sharia law. I'm the only one of the three of us that are running in this race that have lived in countries that fall under laws that are not compatible with our way of life here, and not just the United States, but specifically here in Texas. I'm here to tell you that Sharia law has absolutely no place in this country. We have our own set of laws. We have our own constitutional republic that we must adhere to. And if you don't want to come to our country and assimilate to the way we govern ourselves, fine. It's about time we had leaders that understood that, because I don't go to your country. I don't put my feet up on your couch. How do you want? There's norms and cultures that we have to adhere to, and it shouldn't be any different here. I also did one tour of duty at Cornell University. I called it combat because it was very cold and it was very liberal. While I was there, I had 3 master's degrees in 4 years. A master's in business, a master's of public administration, then a master's of industrial and labor relations. Then came back home, lived in Houston with my beautiful family, my wife, and my 3 kids. My brother is also a West Point graduate. He's West Point class in 2005. Cross-commissioned to the Navy, did 5 years of active duty, did his advanced degree at Harvard Business School. That's why I have 3 master's degrees from Cornell to match his 1 Harvard degree, he tells me. Then in Katy, Texas, we have a beautiful family. There are 60 years where the military service just in my immediate family. 60. I am most proud of it, because that's the kind of service and sacrifice that it takes to preserve this great nation. And there are people that have died for us to live in a free country.
Amen.
14 of my West Point classmates are no longer with us. They were killed in the global war on terror. I always tell people there were 14 white guys. When they gave their last full measure, they were for black people, for white people, for Hispanic people, for Asian people. We did it for our fellow Americans. And I am sick and tired and sick of the left trying to divide us along racial lines. Last I checked, we all bleed red, we all bleed Texas, we're all Americans, and we're all in this boat together, under one God, one nation under God, indivisible. Let's stop being so divisible at this point in our lives. We have a checkered past in this history, but by God, we've come a long way. That's why I exist. I always tell people, especially my more liberal friends, you do understand that I go from Houston, Texas, a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 2020, and I won by 25 points. I tell him that every time I see him. I'll inform you, sir, because I don't know you did not. I'm being judged not by the color of my skin, by the content of my character. And as I have traveled across this great state, Texas is a real big state. Big state. I'm the only one that's actually campaigning and running a campaign. As I've traveled all over the state of Texas, I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. Wesley, thank you for giving us an alternative. Wesley, thank you for your service. Thank you for believing in 1 term limits, 2 terms, 12 years, long enough. All I'm doing. I promise you that. You have my word. I've got 3 babies at home, and at some point I have to go be the parent to them as my parents were to me. I keep hearing, Wesley, thank you for wanting to protect our babies. Thank you for wanting to protect our culture. Thank you for putting your life on the line and stepping away even from your family. I miss them dearly, to ensure that they have a future, not just my children, but your children and your grandchildren and your great-great-grandchildren. That's why I'm doing this. And at no point have I heard somebody mention anything about the color of my skin. At no point. That's a Texas I know and love. It's a Texas that I want to preserve. And quite frankly, it's why we're trending in the polls. Because I don't believe in ad hominem attacks and going after someone's personal life. I believe in talking about brass tacks and what we are going to do to upgrade from John Cornyn. Now, I'm not attacking him for that. But the point of the matter is this: you cannot co-author gun control legislation in Texas. Can't do that. But when you spend 24 years in the swamp, you see, you forget about what the people of Texas really want and what they really stand for. That's what got him in hot water. You can't co-author a bill that allows 50,000 Afghan migrants to enter this country without being properly vetted. And then try to scrub it from your website like you didn't do it. The internet is forever. We have receipts. I was the first person in the country this last cycle to endorse President Trump. Number one. Why? He endorsed me my first 2 runs for Congress. I believe in loyalty, and I paid back the favor as soon as I could. And secondly, why would you want to see the cover band when the real band was still playing? Keep in mind, this was at the rise of Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, and I was the first person to endorse him. Consequently, he allowed me to travel with him, and I got to be one of his top surrogates. I got to fly around on his plane. It's a really nice plane. Really nice plane. Lots of McDonald's. Like, Wesley, you're not going to eat that, are you, Mr. President? For you also have the $250. I got to see firsthand for 1 year and participate in the most consequential election in my lifetime. And thank God he is our president today, because I can't imagine him going where Harrison Walls is running this country. What a disaster. God spared this country from utter disaster, from the brink of disaster. I mean that from the bottom of the bottom. The beauty of being a helicopter pilot, and the beauty of being an Apache pilot, and the beauty of serving in combat is because God prepares you for things in your life you don't know about, that you will be faced with some 20, 15, 20 years later. And I'm seeing all these attack ads that are being run against me all over television. They're spending $20 million hitting me, lying about me on television. I'm finding out things that I didn't even know I did. One of those attacks is Wesley voted for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2008 during Operation Chaos, like many of us did. Many of us did. And I voted for John McCain that year because he was certainly the better option than Barack Obama. And I voted for the war hero. Of course I did, as a military guy. People then say, well, Wesley, you've missed a lot of votes. You're an absentee guy. Well, first of all, when I first got into Congress, the first few months, my son was in a NICU actually when I first got elected. So I missed some votes then. As I just said, I was a surrogate for President Trump during the election. So obviously, when he calls you to be somewhere, you know what I mean? You're there. And then the last few months, I have been running to term limit a 24-year incumbent. And I can't be in two places at one time. I've had to miss some votes in the last few months because I'm the guy, this is my 50th event over the course of the past month and a half, because I believe it's time to term limit John Cornyn. And thank God I've missed those votes because I've been able to take this message to you, the people, and that's why we're doing so well. There's been 2 times that I have been called in the past few months from the White House and from the Speaker of the House that says, hey, Wesley, we need your butt up here right now because we need your vote. And I was there. I was there. I've missed some roll call votes, and I've missed some votes of naming post offices after Sacagawea again. We actually took a vote that I missed. We defined the definition of a shower head. That's what I missed. J.D. Vance, when he was tapped to be the vice president, do you know how many votes he missed? All of them. Thank God. Because he was running to ensure that we had a better future. What I'm asking is this. I want you to trust me when I tell you if it's a consequential vote that's going to benefit you, I will be there. But this is not a participation trophy. We are in elementary school. We can live by adult rules. And I want you to trust that I'm going to do right by you. You have no world. But when I see these attacks coming from the NRSC, SLF, John Cornyn, and Ken Paxton, I'm thinking to myself, I must be doing something right. I must be a threat. I must be right over the target zone. As Isaiah says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And that's why we are sprinting to the finish line at the end of this week to ensure we have a true conservative leader that's in my early 40s, in the same vein as J.D. Vance, 41 years old, Marco Rubio in his early 50s, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in his mid-40s, Tulsi Gabbard in her mid-40s. Why? We are the next generation of leadership that's got to step into the fray right now in order to be that bridge from my parents' generation to my children that are 7, 5, and 3. It's imperative that we do this now because President Trump is going to be gone here in 3 years. Who's next? The people that are entering the fight now. And the United States Senate is not a retirement community. It's not. It's not, although it looks like it. It's time for us to get over having lifelong politicians that are more concerned with their special interests than you. And if anybody is serious, like me, I hate being up there. I'd much rather be around my fellow Texans like I was last night during the State of the Union address. I was in Austin in the movie theater around my fellow Texans watching the State of the Union because I'm still campaigning, supporting our president, but you are what's most important. I will always have a home in Texas and an apartment in D.C. Not a home in D.C. and an apartment in Texas. Thank you. The question I get oftentimes is, Wesley, well, what differentiates you between Ken Paxton? And if you've noticed, I don't really attack Ken Paxton for starters because I don't want his job. I want John Cornyn's job, so I'm focusing my ammunition on the job that I want and the person that has that job. But secondly, we also know that Ken's conservative. We know how he's going to vote. But a woman in Midland, in Amarillo, she came to me and she said, Wesley, I'm deciding between you and Ken, but I'm choosing you. And I'm like, that's a good sign, good. Good, thank you. I said, well, but out of curiosity, why? She said, I like Ken. I know he's conservative, but in a couple of years, he's going to be eligible for Social Security. And then it's a 6-year term, and then he's in his early 70s, and we're right back at square one. Or I could choose the guy in his 40s who's also going to be conservative, who's going to the term limits, and in 12 years, I'll be in my mid-50s, to then go on and go do something else in my life. And we get a guy that's going to be a bulldog for Texas that's in his prime, that we know is going to vote conservatively, that we know is going to be somebody that's going to represent Texas well, and that's why I'm voting for you. And I said, I'm going to use that everywhere I am. Thank you for that, man. I'm going to take that to be on the road. But those are the differences here. It's time for a generational shift. It's time for true conservatives, and most importantly, I'm the only one of the three that's going to die for this country. I'm the only one of the three that said I'll defend this country against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, even if it means my life. I'm the only one of the three that in my 55 combat air missions, I said the Lord's Prayer and a 23rd Psalm before I got that helicopter to get right with God and consider making it home alive. I'm the only one. I'm the only one that has skin in the game, that has babies, that I look at every single day, and I want them to know that I am trying my darndest to leave this place better than I found it. And in 10 years, the laws that are getting made right now are going to directly impact me and impact our babies and your grandbabies. And we need serious people that are young, that want to tackle some very difficult decisions, and most importantly, are going to be around for the consequences of these decisions. Because that means I have to do a good job, because I got to live with it. It's about time we had true patriots that operated in your best interest and not the best interest of D.C. When it is all said and done already, an article came out a couple of days ago, this is the most expensive race, expensive primary in the history of the Republican Party. Did you know that? $115 million has been spent on this race. A Powerball ticket, a good one, has been spent on this race. The lion's share of that, of course, comes from John Cornyn. We have a 74-year incumbent, 74-year-old incumbent, 24 years served. The first time he became a judge and was elected to public office, I was 11 months old. And the party chose to spend $100 million for a guy to be polling in the 20s. What a shame. But thank God the people of Texas choose our leadership and not D.C. and not Washington. And that's why I do believe in this runoff, and I do believe there's going to be a runoff. Ken and I will be in the runoff, which is the whole point of me getting in this race, to give you all an option, a true conservative option, moving forward for the future of this country, because it clearly is time for some change. Thank you all so much for being here. God bless you. And I'm asking for your vote, obviously, but most importantly, I'm asking for your prayer. Tonight, please pray for me, pray for this country, pray for our president, pray for the future of this country, pray for our babies. Because the Lord knows, the Lord hears the prayers of the righteous, and as long as we continue to pray with every generation, He will continue to bless us. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much for being here. I've been happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much.
The only criticism from, just from people that pay attention to politics about your involvement, which I thought was laughable, so I don't believe it, but one friend, Facebook friend, said, well, he's only in the race to help Cornyn.
Have you seen these ads that they're running? That makes zero sense. That makes no sense. So that makes no sense. Canada's going to finish in first place. Always been the case.
No, but seriously, Hugh Hewitt, who's a respectable conservative commentator, and it seems to be the norm. I think some of these commentators, even the good conservative ones, spend too much time in D.C. But there is a mantra of news analysis saying that somehow Texas could flip blue if Cornyn isn't at the top, if he doesn't win. I think I don't agree with it, but what would you say to Hugh?
I'm a straight shooter. I pride myself on being a straight shooter. John Cornyn is not going to be a senator, and he never was. The second he co-authored gun control legislation in Texas, that was the kiss of death for him amongst the primary voter. The reason why I'm not in this race is because at the beginning of the year, about a year ago, a poll came out that had John Cornyn down 22 points to Ken Paxton. The reason why I'm not in this race is to give people an alternative, somebody that can win the general. That's the only reason why I did this. People need to understand this. I'm not trying to take votes away from Ken. Ken's going to finish in first place. I'm trying to give everybody another option just in case.
Right. Well, no, I appreciate you jumping in because, just to be honest, we're all sinners, and so I don't put myself above Ken at all. But there is people do want somebody that's displayed better discipline than he has in their private life. So
that's why I did this. And if you notice, I will never talk about another man's proclivities. That's not my thing.
right.
That's between that's up to you to decide, and the God that you serve. That's not my job.
Right.
It's my job to give the people of Texas a true option and a real choice.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Yes, sir.
I know it can't be easy. I understand.
It's pretty tough, but not the most difficult thing I've done. I'll tell you that. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I want to pat myself on the back here.
Dude, I love this.
Because I'm one of those, when I was on X, I'm not anymore, but when I was on X, every time I saw something from you, I would enter in, please run for the Senate. Please run for the Senate. And I'm so happy to see your name.
It worked, man. I guess you're
So she's
it's all your fault, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm curious. I have a YouTube. I've been traveling the state. So first off, thank you for being the most accessible candidate compared to any of them. It's very tough to connect with them. And just to kind of continue with that theme of just different lifestyles, there'd be such a strong contrast, I think, between Tellerico and his personal life and Ken Paxton and Paxton's personal life. The opposite is just so stark. So you may be a very stronger general election candidate because of that. So my question is, do you think you would be, and would you rather face Tellerico or Crockett?
This goes back to your why I got this race as well. We did some polling very early on. When my name ID wasn't very high, I was already outperforming Ken and John in the general election against both of them. And I still am. Nobody is talking about this polling, by the way, because it makes them look terrible. And they will literally omit my name and my numbers when they post this. They say, well, John Cornyn is the best option for the general election. No, he's not.
5 points stronger. You're 5 points stronger.
I'm 5 points stronger than both of them. But they don't even want to talk about that. This has been quite the education on how this one works.
Have you met Ms. Crockett?
I know her well, sir. So, get a second part of this question. The second part of the question, I beat both of them. I will beat both of them. And I think it takes young energy to match and who I presumably is, who I think is probably going to be James Talarico. That's what I think. But you ask me who I would rather, I think a debate between me and Jasmine would
Be entertaining.
It would be amazing. I actually challenged her to a debate back in December. And then she found me on the house floor and Jasmine said, did you challenge me to a debate? I said, yes. She goes, that ain't never gonna happen. I tried. I did try.
Well, she's cuter than you.
I did try. I think even against the James, aside from the personal stuff, aside from the contrast, it's an energy thing. He speaks fluent Bible, so do I. Unfortunately, he distorts it in ways that I think is blasphemous. And he needs to be challenged on that by somebody that understands the word as well, number one. Number two, we're similar ages, so you can't make that argument against us. And number three, energy here. No offense to Ken, no offense to John, but they're not doing this because they can. And this is also the reason why I'm doing this now, because when I'm 74, I'm not doing this. My parents right now are sitting there, I get pictures all day, every day, watching their grandbabies. That's my goal. That's my dream. My parents are the same age as John Cornyn's parents. My parents say that's John Cornyn. That's what you should be doing. Right. And when I look at the McConnells of the world, the Cornyns of the world, all of them, and like I said, it's not a retirement community. Do you know when I'm your next senator, I'm going to be the third youngest member of the Senate out of 100 people? That's insane. I'm not 22 years old. It's insane. But this is also the piece, having the energy, having the stamina to then get through a runoff and then to get through a general election. There's a lot that has to be done. But most importantly, I need your help because come election day, we need to have a big turnout for Wesley Hunt. We are trending, we're heading in the right direction. That's why Ken Paxton, dude, throughout this entire year was coasting. He didn't spend a single dime in this race and was polling in the mid-30s. That's why the argument of me taking from Ken was never the issue. Just a few weeks ago, poll came out, had me in second place. He has now spent $4 million against me. All in, he and John Cornyn are going to spend $20 million against me. That's really good. I'll take it. You're doing the right thing, but also it means we need everybody in this room to get 10 other people to the polls. Every single person here gets 10 more people to the polls, either early or on the day of, to ensure that we have the right person for the future in this job. And I do believe that it is me. And even if it's not like I said, and I don't like to think about this because I don't do anything and expect to lose. The Lord will put me where He wants me to be. I have to give up my house seat to be here. This is not comfortable, but you don't spread the kingdom if you're comfortable. In fact, the Lord wants us to trust Him and step out on faith. And that's what I have done. And I know no matter what, He will always deliver for me and put me where I need to be. But I do believe in my heart it's the United States Senate.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for being here. I'm the mayor of the city.
Thank you.
We welcome
You look like the mayor. Something tells me that you were the mayor of the city.
I believe accessibility to elected officials gives them a direct voice, accountability, etc. I have a high value for that as being a community kingdom-minded person myself, so I just appreciate your words today are, I believe, a reflection of that. We've had multiple opportunities for our congressmen and our senators to join us in our community for various opportunities. I would say Ted Cruz has been here multiple times for things. John Cornyn not once, although been invited many times with billion-dollar investments for major infrastructure projects like Google, etc. Plenty of opportunities to come and engage with the community that he serves, but not here. So my question to you, and I think I already know the answer, is if or when elected, will you commit to continue being involved in, obviously there's 254 counties, God knows how many cities, but will you commit to continually being involved in the communities that elect you?
My wife was born and raised in a town called Makokata, Iowa. Have you heard of it? No. Very small town, farmland. Family owns a lot of acres up there. Bad cell phone service. And you'll walk for an hour and not see a single person or a vehicle. My wife comes from a small town. She's a pediatric nurse practitioner. She has a doctorate in nursing. She has a PhD in nursing. She always tells me part of the reason why I'm traveling all over the country and going to the small towns. She goes, Wesley, I came from a small town. But never forget us. But never forget us. And then whenever I go to Iowa 2 or 3 times a year, it's very relaxing. You find out that's where the real people are. That's where y'all are real Texans. Y'all the ones that feed us. Y'all the ones that fuel us. Y'all the ones that keep the values. Y'all the ones that go to church every week and believe in Jesus. You're the best of us. You're the best. And I'm a Houston big city boy. This is far more fun for me to continue to come to places like this. And so the reason why I'm committing to 2 terms, 12 years, because I intend on keeping this operational tempo for 12 years. At that point, you can't do more than 12 because you're burnt out. By the time you're at 24 years, you're not doing this anymore. You say to yourself, I'll just have $100 million, I'll spend a lot of money on TV, and I'll win. And you stop working. Live in living color. This goes for Ken Paxton too. Now I'm not talking about his person, I'm talking about his work ethic on this particular race. Where's Ken? How many events has he had?
4 the whole time.
4.
Wow. And he really wants to.
I've been to Lubbock 3 times. Lubbock! Sir, do you know how far Lubbock is? Lubbock is not only still there, but you know exactly. So to answer your question, sir, when you're doing this right, and you have to run every 6 years, what do you fill your time with? Well, you fill your time with making sure that people know who you are, what you stand for, and traveling around. What I actually really want to do is, during my 6-year term, I'm taking my kids around with me.
Good.
I want my kids to meet me.
How old are they?
7, 5, and 3. I want my kids to be around small towns and to meet you all and to see what Daddy does, who Daddy represents, not just in Houston and Dallas and Austin, but the real people of Texas. That's who y'all are. Salt of the earth, real people. You're the best. So you have my word, sir. And that's not lip service. You have my word.
I believe it takes energy.
And trust me, my wife won't trust me. Don't forget the small towns. Yes, sir.
So my name is Garrett Bailey, running for county commissioner, first time in politics, and J.J. Brookshire is a candidate for our Phillips County GOP. When I was walking up here, he told me that, and I don't know if you know the answer to it, or maybe one of your staff members do, that you tried to contact the actual chair of Phillips County, Randy Bellamy, or individuals within the Phillips County GOP, and weren't able to set up an event, and it was JJ that was able to do that for you. I want to make sure that, the citizens of Ellis County know the hard work that he did, that the GOP had an opportunity to bring you in, to elevate this opportunity for voters to meet you, and they didn't do so. There's a lot of voters that did not attend because he was the one orchestrating or organizing this event, and I just want let people know the truth, because I don't want rumors to get spread that it was actually the GOP that did this and not our candidate over there.
Appreciate it. Not to point fingers at anybody, I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Wesley. Thank you.
Okay, so as somebody who kind of represents Fully Full and Riley Gaines in that whole women's space,
Riley's great.
she's great. One of my biggest things is that Pam Bondi says that, if you represent the Epstein list, if you expose the Epstein list, it's going to take the whole thing down. My biggest thing is what Ro Connor likes to say. Those are the Epstein, those are not the old boys club, it's the Epstein club, and those people need to leave office. My biggest thing is, why are so many people trying to cover that up? I'm not trying to say we need to go to World War III and all those things. My thing is, people who take advantage of children and girls and all those things, they don't need to be in power. So would you actually vote to get that off? Because it's a continued thing that they just won't do. There's only like 3 people. Luana, Anna Paulina is one of them, and there's a few others, but it's just, what's taking so long?
So I voted, was in October. Oh.
Yeah, I know it's like been a thing, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
before you
like,
vote to release the files, there's a few issues with this. So
Yeah.
the number one issue is you have to protect the names of the victims.
of course, yeah.
Number one. So before everybody starts going all nuclear here, we want to know all the bad guys too. I have two little girls. It's a very hard about my babies. You're going to die.
Yeah. Well, Houston's one of the number one trafficking.
Houston is the human trafficking capital of the entire
Yeah.
world, by the way, the United States.
Why do you think
Food capital too.
they made the capital there?
So this is what happens, people come across the border, cartels come
Yeah.
across the border, put them on a bus, or put them in the back of the truck, send them to Houston, and then they scour all over the ends of the earth. It's one of the closest larger hubs. So it's,
My old job is actually teaching tech stop, how to pull people over.
Yeah, there's been so many busts and stings there, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So first of all, we have to protect the names of the victims. Secondly, be careful with a lot of what you hear. So this is political football.
Of course.
Biden had the Epstein files for 4 years.
Of course, it did happen.
Nothing. Well, why? So now they're trying to hang this on Trump. And it's actually not about Bill Gates, who is now apologizing. It's not about Bill Clinton, who's in there repeatedly. They're trying to hang this on President Trump because it's political. It's not doing the right thing. Now, if Trump were seriously implicated in this thing, Joe Biden would have released, they wouldn't have shot him. They wouldn't have gone to Mar-a-Lago. They were true evidence. They would have released this stuff. But they're trying to hang it around his neck politically. So understand that as well. And then also understand that there's a lot of us like me that have babies. And I want to get to the bottom of all of that. But most importantly, we have got to protect the victims. We do not want their names rubbed in the mud again.
Right.
And abused again publicly when they absolutely do not want that to happen, and I want to protect them as well.
So that's like a kind of a number two question is, as somebody who works with victims all day long, that's actually how I know both of those girls, is one of the things that we don't have in the States is we don't have a protection. So for instance, like pedophiles go to jail, they get free meals, they get all these things, right? Victims, they almost have no medical help, they have no nothing. Chloe's in that situation. They'll pay for her transition, but they won't pay for her to actually get the medical care that she needs. One of those biggest things are, and almost nobody wants to call me back when I try to ask them for it. I've called every single congressional person.
This is, what you also have to say is, I always shoot everyone straight. There's some very powerful people that have been implicated in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
Well, I know some of the girls on the list, so like that's not
very powerful people.
Yeah.
You're dealing with very powerful people. This is what happens. What people also have to understand is, you have people like me, who again, I'm the guy that's running against the establishment of $100 million. I'm not wired that straight. You need people like me that have babies that are willing to challenge the status quo. I'm one of those people. Everybody's not willing to do that either. Everyone's not willing to put their life on the line like that. I am, so I already have. I'm built differently. This is why it's important who we elect. And this is why it's important to understand who has the integrity to do the right thing. And I can't agree more with you. And I'm going to protect these victims. And I want everybody, if you abuse babies, you should right now.
Well, it's crazy to me though too, because I've contacted a ton of GOP people being like, hey, we want to do like a thing, sit down and talk. They're like, Republicans don't get caught in social issues. But I think one of the biggest reasons why we're in problems that we are in this world is Republicans have taken too much of a backseat on social issues, that we've allowed Democrats and non-Christian people to get involved. And now we have
I have to also dig a little bit deeper to see exactly what the progress is on this whole thing. Again, we voted to release them.
Yeah.
It was a huge deal, and then they were saying, well, Trump was going to protect us, and he was going to vote no. They said, we're going to release them.
Yeah.
A lot of it's redacted. Well, of course, a lot of it's redacted. So there's like levels to this. But I voted to release them. I voted. I was on the floor, and I said yes. So now I know everybody wants things to be done instantly, but that's not how life works. You got to let the cake bake. So thank you. One more. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So obviously you're in it to win it. You're talking about 2 terms. So we've got a big fiscal crisis coming in the next 10 years or so.
That's why I'm running.
So I'm curious on what your positions are on, getting our fiscal house in order. We can't keep having $1 trillion deficits. What's your position on Doge and how do we get that stuff going?
31. Now let's look. After last night, it's like he's got a job. My guess is JD found out about that in that moment as well. When John Cornyn first took office, our national debt was south of $200 billion. 24 years, it's now
He's nice, like my height.
$38 trillion. We are running a $2 trillion annual deficit. Social Security will be insolvent before my 50th birthday. Medicare and Medicaid will be broken before my 50th birthday. That's my view. These are very tough decisions that are going to have to be made. And unfortunately, here's how the swamp works. You only fix it when it's about to break. I'm going to be around when it's about to break. And we're going to have to fix it. And by the way, we're going to. It's going to be painful. We're making it more painful by not getting ahead of the problem, but that's not how we want to be seen. We don't get ahead of the problem. We are very reactionary, unfortunately. I want to be in the room when it comes time to make these very decisions so I can protect you to the best of my ability. These are very serious issues that we're going to have to really talk about. I'm well aware. It's not only going to impact, again, I want to be around, so I got to deal with it. The reason why this contract was set up, we live in a constitutional republic, this is not a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic because the construct of our founding fathers, it goes like this. They wanted people from a certain place to make laws, to go to DC, from a particular region of the country and make laws. Which better make good laws. Because at some point, you're going to have to return back home and live the laws that you make. But when you become a career politician, you're up there for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and Joe Biden's paid 313 years. You don't care about the laws that you make, but you never go back home. And then you forget. And then you become John Cornyn. So the whole point of me doing this, the whole point of New Young Blood, is because these are very serious, some of the largest problems that this country has ever faced, especially from a financial standpoint, right here. And then lastly, one of the biggest fixes to these problems is the oil and gas and energy industry, which is the heartbeat of Texas. Texas is the 8th largest economy in the entire world, 8th largest GDP in the entire world. Number 9 is Russia. Why? Because the Permian Basin, Eagle Ford Shale, we're sitting right here on one of the most energy-dominant states, or energy-dominant places on planet Earth. That's how we get our debt down. That's how we unleash American. The president says, "Grow, baby, grow." I say, unleash American energy. And that's how we start to grow our way out of this problem while also cutting our way out of this. We don't have a tax revenue problem in this country. We have a spending problem. Not taxes. Taxing you more does nothing. Taxing the rich, that does nothing. We don't have a tax revenue problem. That's spending problem. And people like me have skin in the game. I'm going to be around, so we got to deal with it. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Really, really appreciate you. God bless you. And again, we'd love to have your vote. Most importantly, we need your prayer. And thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.
Woo! Oh, you got to pay for it.
We have time for a quick line and photos.
So, if you're photo, we'll do it here.
All right, guys, we have to say he's an inspiring speaker. After hearing Paxton and Cornyn speak, he was a lot more fun to listen to by a mile, and a lot more inspiring, and I think will inspire people to actually go out and campaign and vote. So, in that regard, you see the contrast. We'll ask some people what they thought. What do you think? You liked him?
I did.
Cool. Good question you had.
I think he had a good answer.
Yeah.
Probably not quite specific on policy yet, but
Right.
definitely knows that we have a.
Well, at least, is awareness about Doge, awareness about the spending that they won't ever ask. Yeah. He was good, and you like his style. He had a good, that's good energy. Very cool. Well, hopefully I'll see you on the trail. Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for all the good material. You're the best. You'll probably, if you search Dodge, DOGGE, and like Wesley Hunt, you'll probably see yourself because you gave some really good stuff. So they'll probably edit you and put you in like talking to voters, and it'll be a highlight. Appreciate it. See you on the trail. All right, guys. Great, impressive speaker. Very energetic. All right, now today.
What are you doing podcasts?
Yeah, pretty much YouTube. So I got a YouTube. I work for myself. I just travel the state.
Yeah.
And I think I've gone to all 5 candidate events, but Wesley is my number one.
Oh, he's
yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask him about the filibuster, how he would act on that, because that's Cornyn and Thune are sitting on it and saying, oh, we can't get that passed because it takes 60 votes.
It's interesting. Right. Do you think they kind of copped out in that regard?
Oh,
I feel like they could if they want to work.
They've used it forever. We can't do him because of the filibuster.
Right.
That is so they don't have to get him done, and they can protect people.
Well, you can change.
That's the swamp.
Right, because you could change the process. You could not have to have it be a filibuster.
Well,
you know,
just call them to the floor, and it has to be the old-fashioned filibuster right there.
Right.
And when they give up, then 51 votes wins it. So that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, I asked about that too. That's interesting to think about. Yeah, the economics is super important. Yeah. Well, good meeting you. Yeah. Thank you.
What's your podcast under?
I appreciate you asking. Just my name. It's a weird name. Dodge, D-O-D-G-E, Landesman. But if you search like Dodge, Texas primary.
Landesman?
Yeah, perfect. Good to meet you.
Other Landesman.
Oh, nice. Rare last name. Yeah, it is. Might be related. You take care. Jen, you say like Paxton, if you wanted the GOP to win, I would not vote Paxton. And Paxton is not that good of a speaker either. Anyway, guys, that was interesting. The Epstein stuff was particularly interesting. I like that girl's question. I don't think you gave a sufficient answer on that. But, you know, hey, respect to him for having the balls to actually answer questions, unlike anybody else. So Hunt gets a lot of points for that. And, you know, I meant what he said about the accessibility. Please do subscribe. I think we're going to see a James Tellerico event tonight. Or maybe tomorrow. I'm going to see how my dog is, although it's about 80 degrees, so I don't think my dog will want it. My guess is he'll only want to walk for about 20 minutes and probably call it a day. But if he wants to walk longer, then I'll go to there's a Tellerico event in Richardson tomorrow, and there's a Tellerico event in actual Dallas today. Richardson is about just north of Dallas, and now I'm just south of Dallas. So everything is crazy Texas weather. It is manic, isn't it? You know, my dog was having a great time these last 3 days because it was a high of 62 degrees. And he's enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it shoots up and it's 80 degrees now, which I don't think my dog would be too happy about. Texas, you know, I lived in Midland for 2 months, and goddamn, the wackiest weather you'll ever have. You know, I remember that we got a cold front and it was a high of 30, and the next day is a high of 70. I'm like, this is insanity. Midland sucks. Dallas is cool. It's got more parks and stuff. Or even outer Dallas, there's more. So you wouldn't see grass like this in Midland. But yeah, Richardson was nice. I liked Richardson. I went to a Crockett event in Richardson, so I might go back to Richardson. I liked Richardson. It's been interesting traveling. Usually, you only spend 3 days in a place and leave. That's usually how it is. So you know the place peripherally, but not really that significantly. And I've been in Dallas now for a week, and I'm going to probably stay in Dallas until the election. So it's been fun to get to know a whole area and stay there for a week. I like Dallas. The traffic's not terrible. You can drive in the middle of the day. It's not like LA or New York. You know, that's the nice part about being from New York City is the traffic everywhere else is just like, I could do this. Yeah, anyway, guys, stay tuned. Probably Tellerico either today or tomorrow. Either Tellerico today in Dallas or tomorrow in Richardson. Please do subscribe. Love you all. Bye-bye.